Welcome. In this video, I'm going to highlight my experience at GenCon 2022. So just got back from GenCon, so need to catch up on some sleep and then fix my other problem of finding shelf space for all the games that I bought, because I bought more games than I have shelf space for. I'm just assuming I'm not the only one with that same issue. So in case you're not sure what GenCon is or familiar with it, it is, let me check my notes, the largest and longest running tabletop gaming convention in North America. It's held once a year, and right now it's in Indianapolis, and it's been going on since 1968. It's been in Indy for about 2 decades now. This was my second time going, so the first time I went was about 11 years ago, but there's a couple guys in my group that go pretty much every single year. The numbers for this year, so from GenCon, they're saying they had over 50,000 attendees, so getting close to what they had pre-COVID. Around 530 game publishers and vendors throughout the convention center, the football stadium, and the adjacent hotels. Let's see here. For me, the best part of the con is meeting the people. So for those of you that I met there, it's a pleasure talking to you about our favorite games and such, and also playing some games with you. I was also able to meet up with some other YouTubers, so it was nice seeing them and talking with those, and of course the game designers and the publishers. It's always nice to talk to a designer of your favorite game. So nice shout out to Caleb Grace for Marvel Champions. It was an honor to sit down and talk with him for a little bit about Marvel Champions and just gaming in general. So a lot of things to do at the con. So just walking through the dealer's hall, looking at all the new games, doing some demos. Then they've got a huge space for playing and also demos. So if you go to GenCon.com, you can kind of get a look at the map and get an idea of how big this thing is. So for this video, I'm just going to kind of go over some of the events I went to, then the purchases I made, and I've got a lot of unboxing and learning to do for games. So for the demos, the first one I went to was fortunate enough to take a quick look or sneak peek into the upcoming Marvel Champions X-Men Mutant Genesis. So I got to sit down with Caleb there. So we had the pre-cons for Colossus and Kitty Pryde, and got to sit down. So I got paired with the guys, or a couple of the guys from the One Stop Co-op shop. So we took on an expert Sabretooth, and unfortunately we didn't prep good enough. He's got a lot of healing for him, so we were barely able to, well, whenever we put damage on him, he'd heal it back the next turn, but we kept everything else in check. I think we would have pulled it out. We just ran out of time. We were getting our decks built up or the table put in place. So that was a great time getting a sneak peek at that, and I can't wait for that game to come out. Twilight Inscription was another Fantasy Flight game. Got to sit out and be taught by the designer of that, James Niffen. I'm not a huge Twilight Imperium fan, or I don't play the game that much. I think I played it twice. Basically, it just takes way too long for me, but it was interesting to see what they do with the roll and write. So the Twilight Imperium people that I did speak to said they really enjoyed the game, thought it really caught a lot of the aspects or the heroes or factions and brought that in. And so many choices for such a simple game. It's flip a card, do what that says, roll your dice, and then you're spending your resources for build your army, exploring, and trying to get votes to get certain things passed. Really neat game mechanic. But it is like it's going to be a heavy roll and write for sure. Then I was able to go to the Dice Tower event where they did their live broadcast from GenCon, talking about the 5 things, each of them that kind of annoys them in the board game industry. So that was, of course, Tom, Z, Mike, let's see, Chris, Wendy, Camilla, and Roy were discussing those. And of course, one of the popular things was poor rule books, because that can definitely ruin a game. Another game I got a demo of was Stuff of Legend. So this is a 3 to 6 player game to where you're taking on the role of a toy of a child. The child has been kidnapped by the boogeyman, and you're trying to work together as a group to find the path and stop him before he gets through the final gate. But unfortunately, one of those toys is in on this kidnapping, so you're trying to figure out who the hidden traitor mechanic is in that. So pretty interesting game. One of the guys from my group is probably going to pick that up. Then I went over and did some role-playing sessions to check out some new games. So A Taste of Madness. We lost some sanity in this one. So it's in the world of Cthulhu. So we're investigators going through trying to figure out what's going on. So I love the shirt on them. The more you know, the less sanity you have, which is pretty much how our story went. As we kept learning things, our sanity kept dropping. So we were going through trying to figure out why one of our group's husband was acting strangely. So we got that figured out. So we saved the day for that group, but half the town seemed to be wiped out. But we're only human. We couldn't fix everything. Then I jumped in on a role-playing game of Gods of Metal Ragnarok, which was a great time. Basically, we formed a band. We went to Ragnarok. We did some awesome things and defeated the enemy, doing our best not to go back to Mundania. Unfortunately, I created too much feedback and ended going back to planet Earth and the real day job, but was quickly brought back in to see the end as we became victorious. Then walking through the halls, I got in a demo of 3,000 Scoundrels, which is designed by one of my favorite designers, Corey Kineska. It's a new game coming out next month, so I've gone ahead and pre-ordered that. Basically, you take on the role of a rival leader attempting to steal technology left by the Traveler. It's got some neat mechanics of where all the people come out. You combine those, put them in a sleeve that has information on that. So there's actually 3,000 different possibilities for the Scoundrels to come out. And you're just trying to 3 rounds, get victory points or take technology to win that game. Then one of the last games I played was Cult of the Deep, which is a hidden role game. Basically in this one, you remind me a little bit of Bang, not the dice game, but the original Bang, where you've got the sheriff and the people, some people trying to take him out, and they've got different ways they want to do it. And of course, the deputy trying to save him. But in this one, I was a faithful to the high priest, and the high priest had to stay alive. I had to keep him alive in order for me to win the game. Then the other 3 at the table needed to get him defeated in a certain way. So fortunately, I died in the process of keeping the high priest, but since he won, I was a winner too, so that was a fun game. And then those were pretty much all the big demos and plays I did. So a lot of just walking around the halls and seeing quick demonstrations of some of the games. A lot of fun there. So for my purchases, we'll start with the games I can play solo. So basically every booth I go to, they've got these really nice bags you'll put their stuff in. So I've got some nice bags to keep. And of course, one of the first places I went to was WizKids. And from there, I picked up Dice Conquest. So this is a co-op adventure using just dice and cards. 1 to 4 heroes will face a gauntlet of monsters using a set of 7 polyhedral dice as their weapon. So each turn you'll place an available die on a monster and try to defeat them. So it's going to be a co-op game, so it'll last about 30 minutes for 1 to 4 players. And just thought the dice looked neat too, so picked that up. Also at that same booth, I picked up, that's a multiplayer game. Next solo line, I've got Chorus Maximus, which is an older game. I think that was out in 2018. So it's for 1 to 8 players, lasts about 20 to 45 minutes. Inside Up Games. So it's a trick-taking game, and I like those style of games, so I thought I'd give this a shot. And then lastly, for my soloable games, was Zombicide Gear Up. A flip and right game in the world of Zombicide, so how could I turn that down? So players team up as survivors fighting for their lives during a zombie apocalypse. In this cooperative flip and right game, zombies are continually spawning and attacking the survivors. They will need to fend off the zombies and upgrade their weapons, all while trying to achieve the final goal of killing the big boss. And of course, all these I do plan on getting to the channel at some point, but as you can tell, I took a lot of time off work, and so I need to catch up there before I can start playing games again. So then as far as games that are multiplayer, also this was at the WizKids booth. I got the Marvel Remix, which is kind of a retheming of Fantasy Realms. So players are dealt a hand of 7 cards. So through Marvel's remixes, due to gameplay, you'll build a team of iconic heroes and allies, arm them with powerful equipment and maneuvers, and visit familiar locations, all while taking on infamous villains. And so that is about 20 minutes for 2 to 6 players. Next was a game I wasn't even aware that was coming out, is Firefly Misbehaving, a factions deck building game. So I think this is going to release next month. So glad I was able to get a copy of this. So published by Gale Force 9. It takes about 60 minutes to play, 2 to 4 players, ages 14 and up. So if someone ever tries to kill you, you try to kill them right back. And Firefly misbehaving players get to control different factions of the Firefly verse, from the criminal enterprises of Badger or Niska to the self-righteous Alliance and even Serenity, as Maul attempts to find a crew and keep flying. This deck building card game gives each player a unique starting deck of cards and access to characters, items, and locations in the core, border, and rim. Compete to control your own corner of the verse or play through different episodes with a wide variety of objectives. So can't wait to get this one to the table, because we all know, or at least hopefully you know, I love my deck building games. Kind of a weakness for me. So next up, Cult of the Deep. That was the one game I demoed there. So typical fashion, I bought the game, and then the next day went back for the demo, and I enjoy it. So I'm glad I picked that one up. This one is for 4 to 8 players, published by BA Games. Then I picked up another game from Corey Kineska. This is Voices in My Head. Taking a look at the back of this, you probably shouldn't have robbed that bank. You also shouldn't have eaten that spicy breakfast burrito. One problem at a time, you tell yourself, okay, guy, you messed up, but this trial might be your shot at redemption. As you prepare to testify in court, conflicting voices fill your head. Which voice should you listen to? So in this one, you're either playing as a prosecutor or voices in the head, and you're just trying to complete certain goals to become the winner at the end of the game. Then next up, we've got Deranged, a gothic semi-cooperative adventure survivor game for 3 to 6 players. So in this game, you'll be fusing supernatural elements with gothic horror. Players take the roles of travelers and adventurers who have ended up in the quiet provincial town inundated with werewolves, the walking dead, and hungry ghosts. Armed with blunderbusses, axes, knives, and hammers, players battle the monsters prowling the village streets. A much greater danger lurks at night, a time when shadows grow, stare into your soul, and each step threatens to tear at the remains of your sanity. Even a hero with a hardened will can turn into a monster more terrible than anything the cursed town could muster. So I kind of fell in this game due to the looks, and of course modular game board and deck building mechanics. My weakness as always. Speaking of deck builders, my last day there, The Librarians, is a TV show I have not watched, but I'm going to start watching it now since I bought the game. This is a deck box that came with the shiny box. Not sure how that's going to do on screen. Probably blind some people. But I got the version that came with the core set and the expansions and a few other cards. So, of course, this is based on the TV game. It's a cooperative game for 1 to 4 players. And I'll be getting that to the channel. Well, I'd like to watch at least the first season before I really dive into this. So that's it for the board game. So then I've got some role-playing accessories. Well, first I got a play mat for the DC deck building game. See if we get that up on screen. Just thought it looked pretty, and I don't have much self-control when I'm at a con and everything's right there in front of me. All right, so role-playing accessories. Got all that stuff in another thing. Another nice bag from Dragon Shield. Of course, they're my favorite card sleeve manufacturer. So first up, we've got some promotional material for Dungeons and Dragons. Let me see if I get all these up. So first we've got Strahd. See if I can get that shown off there. So just a miniature for him. Then we've got some Orc Skeleton promos. And let's see, what do we have here? An Abominable Yeti. So they're acrylic line. So you don't have to paint minis, but you can still have a 3D terrain. And last one was, let's see, a Moonstone Dragon Wormling. Got that sitting there so you can take a closer look at what he looks like. And then Dragon Shield has some new items. So they've got a player companion and they've got a game master companion. So basically this is something that is going to be able to hold your role-playing books and turns into a dice tray, can hold pencils, miniatures, and other things, and made of some really nice leather, as you can see there. Let me see, it's got a little flyer that's going to show these things quicker without doing a full unboxing. You can see different ways of setting up the player companion. And then for the game master companion, nice spot, he can put maps and things and initiative cards and monsters on top. So, and of course that's going to be made of some really nice leather also. So that was my haul from GenCon 2022. Let me know in the comments down below all the fun things you picked up or any of these items that you're also interested in too. So as always, hope you enjoyed this video. If so, please click on the like button down below and be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.